Hey there, economics enthusiasts. Welcome back to another exciting dive into the world of economics. Today we're diving into the world of tariffs. You might have heard this term thrown around in the news or in discussions about international trade, but what exactly are tariffs? In the simplest terms, a tariff is a tax on imported goods. This means that when products are brought into a country from abroad, the government imposes an additional cost on them. Imagine you're buying a cool gadget from another country. Maybe it's the latest smartphone or a high-tech tablet that isn't available locally. A tariff would make that gadget more expensive because the government adds an extra cost. This additional cost is meant to level the playing field for local manufacturers. But why do governments do this? What's the rationale behind imposing tariffs on foreign goods? Well, tariffs have been used for centuries to influence trade and protect domestic industries. They serve as a tool for governments to control the flow of goods and services across borders. They can make foreign goods less appealing to consumers, giving local businesses a competitive edge. This means that local products might be more attractive because they don't carry the extra cost of tariffs. Think of it like this. If a foreign car is hit with a high tariff, it becomes more expensive, encouraging people to buy cars made in their own country. This can help boost the local economy and support domestic jobs. This helps protect jobs and businesses in the domestic auto industry. Workers in local factories benefit because their products become more competitive in the market. But tariffs aren't always simple. They can create a tangled web of trade relationships and economic consequences. They can spark trade wars, raise prices for consumers, and even hurt the very industries they're meant to protect. When countries retaliate with their own tariffs, it can lead to a cycle of increasing costs and economic tensions. So, buckle up as we explore the fascinating and sometimes tumultuous history of tariffs. From their origins to their impact on modern economies, there's a lot to uncover about this complex topic.
Tariffs have been around for ages, shaping the flow of goods and wealth across borders. These taxes on imports and exports have played a crucial role in the economic policies of nations throughout history. In the early days of trade, they were primarily used to generate revenue for governments. This revenue was essential for funding public projects, maintaining armies, and supporting the administrative functions of the state. It was like a toll booth for goods entering a country. Merchants had to pay these fees to bring their products to market, which in turn helped to fill the coffers of the ruling authorities. As nations industrialized, tariffs took on a new role: protectionism. This shift was driven by the desire to foster domestic industries and reduce reliance on foreign goods. Governments used them to shield their own industries from foreign competition. By imposing high tariffs on imported goods, they made foreign products more expensive and less attractive to consumers. This was especially true during the 19th century, as countries like the United States and Great Britain engaged in tariff battles. These economic skirmishes were part of a broader strategy to dominate global trade. One famous example is the American system, championed by Henry Clay in the early 1800s. Clay's vision was to create a self-sufficient economy that could stand on its own without relying heavily on European imports. This system used high tariffs to protect American manufacturing from European competition. By doing so, it aimed to encourage the growth of domestic industries and reduce the trade deficit. The idea was to nurture young industries and help them grow strong. By providing a protective barrier against foreign competition, these industries could develop and eventually compete on a global scale. However, tariffs have always been controversial. While they can protect domestic jobs and industries, they can also lead to higher prices for consumers and strained international relations. Critics argue that they stifle free trade, raise prices for consumers, and can lead to retaliatory measures from other countries. These retaliatory tariffs can escalate into trade wars, harming the global economy. The debate over tariffs is a tale as old as time, reflecting the complex relationship between nations and the global economy. As countries continue to navigate the challenges of globalization, the role of tariffs remains a hotly debated topic in economic policy. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 stands as a stark reminder of the potential dangers of protectionist policies. Enacted during the Great Depression, this act dramatically increased tariffs on thousands of imported goods. The goal was to protect American farmers and businesses struggling during the economic downturn. However, the consequences were disastrous. Instead of helping the economy, the Smoot-Hawley Act backfired spectacularly. Other countries, hit by the high American tariffs, retaliated with their own protectionist measures. This triggered a global trade war, causing international trade to plummet by an estimated 65%. The world economy spiraled further into recession. The Smoot-Hawley Act is often cited as a cautionary tale about the dangers of protectionism. It demonstrates how tariffs, intended to protect domestic industries, can have unintended consequences, hurting the very people they are meant to help.
Despite their potential downsides, tariffs remain an important tool in international trade. They have been used for centuries and continue to be a significant aspect of economic policy for many countries around the world. Governments employ them for various reasons, each with its own set of implications. These reasons can range from protecting nascent industries to generating much-needed revenue for public services. Let's break down the three main uses of tariffs in more detail to understand their multifaceted roles in the global economy. First, tariffs serve as a protective measure. This is the classic use of tariffs, shielding domestic industries from foreign competition. By imposing tariffs, governments can help local businesses grow and thrive without being undercut by cheaper imports. By making imported goods more expensive, tariffs make locally produced goods more appealing to consumers. This can lead to increased sales for domestic companies and can help create jobs within the country. Second, tariffs are a way for governments to generate revenue. Tariffs can be a significant source of income for governments, especially in countries where other forms of taxation are less developed or harder to collect. Every time an imported good crosses the border and is subject to a tariff, the government collects money. This revenue can be substantial and is often used to fund essential public services. This revenue can be used to fund various government programs such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure projects. In this way, tariffs can contribute to the overall development and well-being of a country. And third, tariffs can be used as leverage in international trade negotiations. Tariffs can serve as a powerful bargaining chip. A country might threaten to impose tariffs on another country's goods unless certain trade concessions are made. This can be an effective way to negotiate better trade terms. A country might threaten to impose tariffs on another country's goods unless certain trade concessions are made. This tactic can be used to open up new markets, reduce trade barriers, or secure other economic advantages. It's important to remember that these three uses of tariffs are often intertwined. A tariff implemented for protectionist reasons can also generate revenue and be used as a bargaining chip in trade negotiations. A tariff implemented for protectionist reasons can also generate revenue and be used as a bargaining chip in trade negotiations. This multifaceted nature makes tariffs a complex but essential tool in the arsenal of economic policy. The complex interplay of these factors makes tariffs a fascinating and often contentious aspect of international trade. Understanding the various roles tariffs play can provide deeper insights into the strategies and motivations behind international trade policies.
Trade wars, they often start with the aim of protecting domestic industries, but they can lead to unintended consequences for consumers. You see, when tariffs are imposed, the cost of imported goods rises. This increase doesn't just affect businesses, it trickles down to everyday people. For instance, higher prices on essential items like food, clothing, and electronics can strain household budgets. And well, it's not just about the direct costs. There can also be a reduction in the variety of products available, which limits consumer choices. So, while the intention might be to bolster local economies, the reality is that consumers often bear the brunt of these policies.
Tariffs are not just about economics. They are deeply intertwined with politics, national security, and even social issues. The landscape is, well, quite complex.
The debate between free trade and protectionism is as old as trade itself. Free trade advocates argue for fewer barriers to allow goods to move freely across borders, while protectionists push for tariffs to protect domestic industries from foreign competition.
In our globalized world, finding the right balance between protecting local industries and engaging in international trade is crucial. It's a delicate act that requires careful consideration of multiple interests.
Tariffs can be a powerful tool, but they come with lasting consequences. Whether they help or hurt an economy depends on how they're used and the broader context in which they operate.